Well, I've just come down to fish this stretch. It's the 4th of September. It's almost 4. Overcast. A bit cool, but yeah, it's not too bad. I'm often asked about the setup which I use and the hardware, the rods and the reels. So I thought today I'd just go through it all after all these years of fishing. And before I do this, I'm not advocating this for anybody. You know, this is not a do as I do. Each to their own. But so I'll just simply go through mine and maybe explain a little bit about why. So this is the main line, which is £25. Barclay's Big Game in green. And it's attached to this swivel. There's a knot protector there, which I'll just push over the swivel in a moment. There's a little running ledger ring, and attached to it is this weight. I just tie it on with £15 mono, which is the same as the hook length. So if the main line breaks or this knot goes, this quite simply slides off and the fish isn't left towing it about. And the hook length is, I don't know, it's £15 or £18, but anyway, it's strong, but it's less than the main line. So if anything's going to break, it's going to be the hook length. And this is attached to a size 7 hook. I don't know whether it's a Drennan Super Specialist or whether it's like a Matskoo carp thing, doesn't matter. And then there's a braid hair which I tie on myself, and on the end of it is a little quick stop and the 14mm dynamite halibut pellet. And that's it. Nothing complicated about it at all. I explained how I tie this hair rig on the hook in another video a few years ago. It's I think it's number 8 Drennan micro braid. And that's it without the pellet on. It's dead easy to use. You just push that needle in and just poke it through that hole there. Nice thing about that is you can just do it by feel. So if it's getting dark, then you're not faffing about with flashing lights, and which are a real nuisance. Obviously the size of the weight depends upon the rare conditions, but this is about the smallest I use. I think this is 3 ounces. And but in the car I have a box full of bigger weights. I think the biggest in the box is up to 8 ounces when it's the river's carrying about 15 feet of water. It's absolutely trammelling through with lots of rubbish. I would think the hook length will be about, what, I don't know, 15 inches long. I don't fish with a long hook length at all. Now, both reels are Shimano 10,000 XTEs, which I've had for years now, as you can tell by the condition of them. and I've never had any problem with them except one. And I've had it on two of them. I've got 4 of these reels on various rods, pike fishing and barbel fishing and so on. And although they don't make them now, you can still get them on eBay, but they aren't cheap. And obviously you have to be very careful when you buy second-hand reels that they aren't clapped out. And the only problem I've had, and it shows on all of them, is this pin here. It gradually wears, and this bit becomes slack, as you can see there. And on one occasion when I had a big barbel and the pin sheared, and I had all on to get this barbel hand over hand, which, as you can imagine, was a bit fraught. So you just need to check on those if you're going to buy one. And if you want a new handle for it, they're like gold dust. You normally have to buy the whole reel. You normally can't buy the handle on its own. Now, as for the rod, I think it's an Abu, but everything's worn off. I've had it for donkey's years, and it's probably about a £2 test curve rod. And I like it so much that I've had to repair it on several occasions, as you probably see when it's on the rest. But it does handle big barbel quite well in all conditions. But in big flood conditions, I have another rod, which I'll show you now. I think this is a carp rod. I think what CP stands for anyway. It came with 2 tips, 2.5 test curve and a 3 pound test curve. I don't know how I came to have it. I was probably persuaded to buy it at some time. But anyway, again, I've had it for years. And 2.5 is a little bit too stiff for normal river conditions. But when we get big floods on a swell, and you're trying to throw out 6-8 ounce weights, and this is ideal. And if you get a big fish on in a big flood, it's also stiff enough to manoeuvre the fish away from any snags under the water. So that's its main purpose. But obviously, if I'm fishing normal conditions with this, because it's so stiff, I have to very carefully adjust the drag, the rear drag, or the main drag on the reel, so when the fish bolts downstream and I pick this rod up, because it doesn't have much give in it, I don't want to bring the fish to a sudden halt, otherwise that tends to tear the mouth, which is what you don't want. So the rear drag is adjusted so when the fish does tear off down the river and I pick the rod up, it's brought to a rather more gentle halt before trying to bring it back upstream. And this is the Barclay Big Game line. I'm often asked why I use 25 pound. Well, you know, it doesn't really matter what you use, as long as it doesn't break when you've got a fish on. That's the crucial matter. It wouldn't matter if you were fishing with sort of cart rope or a clothesline. What you've got to balance is the flexibility of the rod and the drag on the reel. What's between the hook and the rod, it doesn't really matter. I know a lot of people like line which is clear, translucent or light brown so that the fish don't see it. I don't think it matters. I mean, barbel come into contact with all sorts of things under the water, I think if they can see what they've touched, I don't think I don't think that spooks them quite so much. But if they touch something they can't see, I think that makes them edgy. Anyway, others will have different opinions, no doubt. So, what have I got in the bag? Well, there's a towel. There are some freebie pellets, just for a bit of loose feeding. And then there are 3 little plastic boxes which I'll look at in a minute. A chicken sandwich, a flask of tea, these spring-loaded hook nose pliers for getting awkward hooks out of. They're also very useful for crushing the barbs on hooks. Some hooks have really big barbs on it, you just nip them down, or you can nip them right down if you want. Very useful for that. And a catapult. So let's just have a look in these 3 little boxes here. This one contains the pellets for the hair. I just use these. I don't know where these came from. They've probably been in there for donkey's years. But I just use these all the time. And they work very well. And I just have a baiting needle for pushing the quick stop through the pellet. So, spare elastic for the catapult, a pair of sharp scissors, a spare baiting needle for the quick stops, some, I don't know, it's 15 or 18 pounds, mono for tying on the weights, a packet of sliding ledger rings, I think they're called, dozens of these for peanuts, some knot protectors, and some swivels, which are the same size as the knot protectors. I don't know what size these things are. I think they're about an 8 or something, but don't quote me on that. And that's it. That's what's in the box. And this 3rd box contains hooks tied to hook lengths with a little quick stop on. One of the things about these quick stops is they do occasionally break or come off, or the braid itself becomes unravelled. So I make these up 10 at a time, and so if something goes wrong with that quick stop or the braid, I quite simply cut off the hook length and put a new one on. Again, it takes no time at all. So I've just made a load up. That's why this box is full. And then of course I just have a couple of spare weights and a head torch. And that's it. And the seat is a witchwood seat with adjustable legs back and front. Doesn't have any arms on it, which doesn't bother me at all. It's not the latest of seats, but it's one of the most comfortable. Is the net. A large soft mesh, I think it's a carp net, but it's big enough to hold a large barbel without It's all been twisted up in the bottom with a stiff handle. So if I have to lift it from a fair distance out, then that's stiff enough to hold it. And last but not least, an unhooking mat. You don't really need one here, the grass is so lush that you come to no harm on the grass. We're only fishing dry, bare pegs, which you often find at very popular venues. You definitely need an unhooking mat. And that's it. Oh, no. Nearly forgot to mention the bank sticks. Telescopic bank sticks cover every eventuality. It's really annoying if you leave these behind. I just roll them up in the net, so I tend not to forget them. That's the box of weights I've got in the car. There's a 4 ounce. That's an enormous lump. 6 or 8 ounces, I think that's nearly 8 ounces that. And that's a 4 ounce. Oh, the other thing I forgot, all the knots are clinch knots for the tuck. Sort of 6-turn clinch knot. And just with a tuck, and I've never had any problems with it at all. Anyway, it's now 5:05, so after all that, we'll get cast in. I always worry when the swans go past it there. I'm going to get caught in a line, or even worse, going to pick up a pellet off the bottom. But that old male swan there, he negotiates his way around these lines, no bother at all. In all the years it's been here, I've never had any trouble with it. Obviously very wise. Well, the kingfisher just went whizzing past there. I don't know whether you could see it. So fast. And incredibly small. tussle to get it in where it is. It's a good sized fish. Nicely coloured. Well, it's going on 9 o'clock. For a few taps and rattles. You're jumping out your chair, but nothing recently, so it's time to go home. So from the banks of the River Swale on this lovely evening. See you again. Take care. Bye bye.